A few months ago, I started getting calls from a private number, and at first, I didn't think much of it. I usually get random spam calls every now and then, especially late at night, so I assumed it was just another one of those. The first time it happened, I was lying in bed around 11:30 p.m., scrolling through social media, half asleep, and not really paying attention to anything. My phone rang once, then stopped. About 10 seconds later, it rang again. Same private number. That was a little strange, but I still ignored it. I remember thinking, if it's important, they'll leave a message. But they didn't. Instead, the phone rang a third time, longer than before. That's when I decided to answer. For the first few seconds, there was nothing. No voice, no static, just complete silence. I pulled the phone away slightly and checked if the call was still active. It was. When I brought it back to my ear, I heard it. Breathing. Slow. Steady. Very close to the microphone, like the person on the other end was holding the phone right in front of their face. I said hello once, then again. No response. The breathing continued for about 10 seconds. Then the call ended. I sat there for a moment, staring at my phone. It felt strange, but not enough to fully scare me. I convinced myself it was probably some kind of prank call or a bad connection. Eventually, I put my phone down and went to sleep. The next night, it happened again. Same time, 11:30 p.m. This time, I noticed it immediately. I had just turned off my TV and was about to head to bed when my phone started ringing. Private number again. I didn't hesitate this time. I answered right away. Again, silence. Then, the same breathing. But this time, something was different. There was a faint sound in the background. At first, I couldn't figure out what it was. It was low, almost muffled, like it was coming from another room. I stayed quiet, trying to focus on it. Then, it clicked. It was a TV. Not just any TV. My TV. I could hear the exact same scene I had been watching just minutes earlier. The same voices, the same music, even the same line of dialogue that had played right before I turned it off. My heart started beating faster. I slowly looked toward the living room. Everything was dark. The TV was off. I ended the call immediately and got up. I checked the entire apartment, every room, every corner. The front door was still locked, the windows were shut, and there was no sign that anyone had been inside. Still, that feeling didn't go away. That uneasy, heavy feeling that something wasn't right. The next day, I tried to rationalize it. I told myself it had to be a coincidence. Maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe the audio just sounded similar and my brain filled in the rest. I kept repeating that to myself, trying to make it feel normal. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. That night, I decided to stay awake. I left all the lights on and sat in the living room, my phone on the table in front of me. I wasn't going to let it catch me off guard again. Time moved slowly. Every little sound in the apartment felt louder than usual. The hum of the fridge, the ticking of the clock, even my own breathing started to feel noticeable. Then, right on time, 11:30 p.m., my phone rang. Private number. I stared at it for a few seconds before answering. This time, I didn't say anything. I just listened. The breathing started again. Slow. Controlled. Then, footsteps. Faint at first, then clearer. Each step echoing slightly, like it was happening inside a room with hard floors. My chest tightened, because the sound, it didn't feel distant. It felt close, too close. I slowly looked around the living room. Nothing. No movement, no shadows, no sound. But through the phone, the footsteps kept getting louder, closer, closer, until they stopped, right next to the phone. There was a short pause. Then I heard a voice. Soft, calm, clear. Don't turn around. My entire body froze. I hadn't said a word. I hadn't moved. The voice was mine. Exactly mine. Same tone, same pitch, same way I speak. My grip on the phone tightened as my heart started racing. I tried to convince myself it was just recorded audio, some kind of trick, but it felt too real, too immediate. And then I realized something that made it worse. The voice didn't come from the phone. It came from behind me. A few weeks ago, I started using a second phone as a backup. My main phone had been acting up, so I dug out my old one, charged it, and kept it at home mostly for calls and basic use. It didn't even have a SIM card in it at first. I only connected it to Wi-Fi and used it occasionally when my main phone was charging. For the first few days, nothing unusual happened. It just sat on my desk most of the time. Sometimes I'd use it to watch videos or scroll through apps, but that was it. I didn't think much about it. It felt like any other old device. Then, one night, while I was sitting in my room, the old phone lit up. I wasn't even using it at the time. It was just lying face up on the table. The screen turned on, and I saw something I didn't expect. An incoming call. There was no number, just a blank space where the caller ID should have been. I stared at it for a few seconds, confused. I hadn't put a SIM card in that phone yet, so there was no way it should be receiving any calls. At first, I thought it might be some kind of glitch or app notification, but it clearly said, "Incoming call." I didn't answer it. It rang for about 15 seconds and then stopped. The screen went black again like nothing had happened. I picked up the phone and checked the call log. There was nothing there. No missed call, no record of anything. That's when I started feeling a bit uneasy. The next night, it happened again. Same time, around 11:30 p.m. The screen lit up on its own, showing another incoming call with no number. This time, I didn't hesitate as much. I picked it up while it was still ringing and answered it. For a moment, there was silence. Then I heard a very faint sound. It sounded like movement, like fabric shifting or someone adjusting their grip on the phone. I said hello once, but there was no response. Just that faint sound. After a few seconds, the call ended on its own. I checked the call log again. Still nothing. No record. Like the call never existed. I didn't use that phone again after that night. I turned it off and left it in a drawer. A few days later, I took it out just to check something. The battery was completely dead. But when I plugged it in and turned it on, the call screen appeared immediately. Incoming call, no number. And this time, it was already answered. A few months ago, I started working night shifts from home, and because of that, my sleep schedule was completely messed up. I'd usually be awake until 3 or 4 in the morning, and by the time I finished work, everything around me would be completely quiet. No traffic, no voices, nothing. Just that late-night silence that feels a little too heavy sometimes. To pass the time during breaks, I'd usually scroll through my phone or call one of my friends who stayed up late. One night, though, I got a call before I could call anyone. It was around 2:48 a.m. I remember the time exactly because I checked it the moment my phone started ringing. The number wasn't saved, but it looked normal. No private ID, no strange formatting, just a regular number. For a second, I thought it might be a wrong number, or maybe someone I knew calling from a new phone. I answered it. Hello? There was a pause on the other end. Not silence exactly, but no voice either. Then I heard something faint. It sounded like wind. a low, constant rushing sound, like someone standing outside in an open area. I waited for a few seconds, thinking the person might speak, but they didn't. The sound just continued. I said hello again, a bit louder this time, but still no response. After about 10 seconds, the call ended. I didn't think much of it at first. Wrong numbers happen all the time, and sometimes people just don't respond. But then, a few minutes later, my phone rang again. Same number. This time, I answered a little more cautiously. Again, the same sound. Wind. But now there was something else mixed in. Footsteps. Slow footsteps. Crunching slightly, like someone walking on gravel or dry leaves. I stayed quiet, listening. The footsteps continued for a few seconds, then stopped. Then I heard something that made me sit up straight. A door. A creaking door. Opening slowly. I felt a chill run down my spine because the sound was too clear, too close. And then, after the door sound, everything went silent again. The call ended. At this point, I was fully awake. I checked the number and thought about calling back, but something about it didn't feel right. Instead, I just sat there staring at my phone, waiting to see if it would ring again. It didn't. Not that night. The next day, I tried to forget about it. I told myself it was probably just someone pocket dialing or messing around. But the sounds stuck in my head. The wind, the footsteps, the door. That night, I stayed up again. Same routine, same silence. And then, at exactly 2:48 a.m., my phone rang. Same number. This time, I answered immediately, without saying anything. The sound started again. Wind. Stronger this time. Louder. Then the footsteps. Closer. Faster. Like whoever it was moving with purpose now. My heart started beating faster as I listened. The footsteps came closer and closer until they suddenly stopped. Then I heard breathing. Heavy breathing. Right into the phone. I stayed completely still, barely even breathing myself. Then through the sound of the wind, I heard something else. A voice, but not from the phone. From my room. Faint. Behind me. I froze. I hadn't heard any doors open, no windows, nothing. But I could feel it. That presence. Like someone standing just out of sight. Slowly, I turned my head slightly, just enough to glance behind me. There was nothing there, but the feeling didn't go away. Then the voice came again. This time, clearly through the phone. Almost there. The call ended immediately after that. I didn't sleep that night. I kept the lights on and stayed in the same spot until morning. The next day, I tried to trace the number. It didn't exist. No records, no matches. It was like the number had never been assigned to anyone. I thought that was the end of it. Until the next night, 2:48 a.m. My phone rang again. Same number. This time, something was different. I didn't answer right away. I just stared at the screen. And then I noticed something. The call timer was already running, like the call had been connected before I even picked up. Slowly, I raised the phone to my ear, and before I could say anything, I heard my front door open.